Okay, so on the link is the Excel sheet with my shortcuts. I'm going to teach you guys how to set up your shortcuts because they are an essential part to SolidWorks. You can do without them, but it really slows you down. So I'm going to open my SolidWorks because I closed it for some reason. And then I'll start sharing. Okay. Let's share this. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay, so let's begin. So before anything, we're gonna just open a part. You might have gotten a little dialogue here asking you what you want to open. You can also, if you clicked out of it, you can click on new here and it'll open again. And I'm just gonna pick a part. So we're not gonna actually make anything yet, but this is in terms for settings. So if everybody's here, I'm gonna start teaching you guys how to set up your shortcuts because that is one of the most essential things. So if you come over here up to options, there's a little arrow next to it. You wanna click on the arrow and go to customize. You should get a pop-up and you wanna choose keyboard. There's mouse gestures, there's no nice ones. Like any video gamer would love to have like mouse shortcuts, but they're just not nice. So you start with the basic ones. I gave you guys the whole list if you get lost or if you can't keep up, but a lot of these are already set up for you. Some huge ones for me, and this is right now in terms of drawings, I'm gonna scroll down until I find some interesting ones. Okay, here. When we get to section boss space, extrude, revolve, and sweep. You use those pretty often. So I made mine Shift E, Shift R, Shift S. All you have to do is click on it and then you push the keys on your keyboard. So Shift E, and then it's gonna say, hey, this is already assigned to something else. Do you wanna continue? And if you can say yes or no. And that's how you set them up. So there is boss extrude or cut extrude. So for my personal preference, I have Shift E for an extrude.
Wait,
And like
how would we like even open that like the page where you are right
Sure.
now?
Yeah, I can do it again. So once you're here in SolidWorks, up here there is a settings icon and you want to click on the arrow next to it.
Okay.
And then you click customize.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to keyboard because these are all going to be keyboard shortcuts. Once we're here, we just scroll down and you want to find where it says boss space. And you're going to see all these symbols. You can also type for it, but it's just kind of all over the place. So
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay. So I have Shift for my kind of like adding parts. So if you're adding 3D stuff, and Control if you're cutting away. So those are the ones that I have for me. And you can see my shortcuts on the Excel sheet if you don't know what they are here. Fillets I also use pretty often, and that's my F. Whole wizard is my W. And it will ask you like, hey, are you sure you want to change this? This key is assigned to something else. 9 times out of 10, that other key, you're not going to use it. So, or if you feel more comfortable using your own key, creating some other shortcut, go for it. But make sure you keep track of what they are because sometimes you forget what they are. So, and then the next big one are your sketch tools right here. So right here in sketch entities, line, is L. And then rectangle, I picked center rectangle, but you can pick any of these, whatever you feel more comfortable with. If you like starting from a point and then ending from at another corner, then you might want to do the corner rectangle. I like starting with the center and then moving outwards. So I chose this one for my R. Then C is circle. These are all really straightforward. Same thing for arc. I prefer using a 3-point arc where you start at one edge, you start at the other edge, and then you pick kind of like the radius for it. You pick the direction and the length. But you could do any of these for arc. I personally have A for this. Center lines are also used pretty widely in SolidWorks. They're very handy. For that, I just have Shift L. Is everybody keeping up? I know I'm going a little fast, but I don't want to waste too much time on here. That's why I gave you guys the Excel sheet for your reference too.
Wait, I'm sorry, but then like so when I go like on the setting and then the arrow, so like I don't see any option which is saying like shortcut. It just say option add ins and then save restore setting and button size.
Let's see.
Customize, yeah, I don't see that option.
You don't have it? I don't know how to make it come up another way. I wonder. All of these are for something else. Would it be here under tools, customize?
Let me full customize. No. So like my SolidWorks is 2020, so maybe it has different options, or would it be same?
It seems interesting that they would change the location, but we can take a break in a bit, and I'll work with you to find your settings, or I can work with you after the meeting to update your settings.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me just finish here. So we left off at center line, which for me was Shift L. Trim we're gonna use today. That's just T for me. And one of the biggest ones is Smart Dimension. Smart Dimension is D. This you will use 99% of the time. You want to dimension everything, so that's a big one. And let me find the last one. Yes. I always like to finish my drawing or my parts or assemblies with a nice view. You always want to close your part with a nice view. So I like using either dimetric or isometric. So I have Control D and Control I for these two. I would add those two today just for what we're gonna do. Okay. Also, somebody else let me know if people post something on the chat, because for some reason I can't see it and I don't know how to look at it.
If you're screen sharing, you hover up to the top where that green bar is.
Okay.
Once you're over it, it should pop down, and then you click, I think, more on the right, and there's a drop-down menu where you can click.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. Just in case. Okay. So now we're gonna get started. So what I want you guys to open is in that Google Drive link. There is a drawing. It's a PDF format. I want you to open it and take a look at it. And we're kind of gonna take a look at it first, and then we're gonna create the part that's in the drawing. Oh my gosh, I would like to actually open this, but okay. Does everybody have it? Everybody good?
I got it.
Okay. So couple things. Engineering drawings are a big part of engineering, obviously, and it's unfortunate that we don't get taught a lot of them. This is going to be an important skill not only in the industry, but for your senior design or for EDT or whatever other project you might have. If you ever want to do something in the machine shop, a lot of the times you're not allowed to use the machine shop unless you've taken the class. And you have to be able to create a drawing and give it to the machine shop employees so they can create the part for you. And you must be able to convey that information correctly. So this is an important skill. So I just created this little block. It's got some holes in it. Does anybody know what this symbol means?
I definitely don't.
It is the center of the hole.
No. Really, Aaron, I'm very disappointed here.
What is it then?
I am very disappointed. Okay, I thought at least one of you would know. Yes, the cross is the center of the hole, but the little filled in circle parts, that symbol is the dowel hole symbol. It's kind of in the name even. So that is for a dowel pin, if everybody knows what that is. It's kind of like a little straight rod. And usually they're kind of like hammered in and they're press fit into here, or it's because there's another part that's going to fit on top of these dowels. So these are dowel hole symbols. And these are important to add if it is a dowel hole, because then the tool shop employee needs to be able to know that, hey, these pins need to fit in snugly, or these pins need to fit in loosely. Oh, hey, Afifa.
Yeah, so like I was able to like find that option for the customizing and everything. So now like it's good. But I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure. So like when I open a new SolidWorks document, like it gives us three options. It says like part, and then it says part, assembly, and drawing. So which one like are we working on? Is it
We are currently working on parts, but when you
part?
customize your settings, it works across all three of them. Today we
Okay.
just focused on the settings for parts, but they are all the same.
All right. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption,
No
but
problem. Okay, so next thing, does anybody know what parentheses mean in dimensions? If you don't, that's okay. This one is a little bit more obscure.
I know
This
that
means,
one.
oh, do you really?
A
Okay, go
reference
ahead.
dimension.
Yes, applause. Yes, this is a reference dimension. So if you notice here, I have the width of the block, which is 4 inches. And I also have it here. Now this could sometimes confuse toolroom employees, like, oh, do you mean something different? Why is this here? So if you have a dimension doubled, make sure that you reference it. And there will be an option I will show you guys for parentheses. Next thing is, right, multiples. So for example here, I have that this block is an overall of 10 inches and that each of these little leg sections is 2 inches. I don't have a dimension for the center because that would just be redundant. I already told you how much this is and how much this is. You can do the math. Because if I add a dimension, it messes with the tolerances. And I'll show you why. Let's see if I can zoom in on this. So in this case, I have 2 decimal places. This, I'm using my work drawing. I work at Flexco, and they provided this title block for me. You guys don't have your one that has this stuff, but this is kind of what a real engineering drawing will look like. So as you can see here, it tells you what the tolerances are. So our dimensions are an inch, and two decimal places means that there is plus minus 15 thousandths of tolerance. So that is important because tolerance adds up, which means that these 2 blocks can be up to 2.015. which will cut into this, right?
Or
Because
minus
this,
2.
sorry?
Plus or minus.
Right, plus or minus 15. So they can be a max of 2.015. So if this is 2.015 and this is 2.015, and this can only be a max of 10.015, then the only room to grow is in here. So if I add a dimension of this space, it's gonna cut into those dimensions and it won't make any sense. If I do, it would have to be a reference dimension. Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? I know it's a little bit confusing at first to learn about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So basically, just know tolerances stack up. So it's important to dimension things correctly and to add the proper number of decimal places. So this 2 times basically means that it's for this leg and for this leg. We also, for holes, we add center lines here. I could have also had them in here, but it was just kind of unnecessary, so I took them out. So this is just a see-through view. Up here, these I have the same thing 3 times. 1, 2, 3, they're all on the same location. Now these are called ordinate dimensions. This is different. The tolerance stacks up different. So here we have 0, 1 plus or minus 15. So here, let's say we go to the max. So that means this hole can be all the way up to here. But this 3 is based off of the 0. So then this hole is completely independent of this hole's location. Do you guys see what I'm saying? So this could be here or here, but that's based off of the 0. So it's important to know which dimension to use. Sometimes it's best to use ordinates. Sometimes it's best to use regular dimensions. So that's just kind of like a brief overview of what dimensions are like. I have my material up here, and there's usually some kind of revision. So this it will be A. If it was a real part, we would have 100, 102. It varies per company, but that's just how it works in mine. So this is kind of an example. Also, we have the title, who drew this drawing, and the date. This is a size B drawing. I think the sizes are pretty standard. We use size B for almost everything in my company. It's a very standard size. And the scale is 1 to 2. So you always note your scale. And if you have one particular part that is a different scale, one view, make sure that it says underneath, you add a note saying scale, X, Y. So yeah, now let's make this part. So let's go to SolidWorks, and I had already created a new part. But if you didn't already, you go to New, and you click on Part. Now, once you're here, we want to make sure that we are in the correct units. I think for most people, when you first download SolidWorks, it comes in millimeters, but we're gonna work in inches today. So just click on the actual settings wheel this time, no need for the drop down. And we're gonna come over to document properties and then units. So here I have IPS on mine because my part was already set up for that. If you're somewhere else, just make sure that this is clicked. And these are the number of decimals that show up. The standard is 3. For some of you, it might also be different. So let's just click on dimensions as well, just in case. And make sure that this says 3. And we're not going to use dual dimensions today, so this doesn't matter. So just make sure that this for primary one says 3 decimal places, just so we're all kind of on the same page. Is everybody keeping up?
How did you get to that one again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
No problem. I clicked on dimensions here under
Oh, to
document
that
properties.
window.
Oh, I just clicked on the settings wheel.
Okay.
So settings wheel, document properties, and then I went to units, made sure it was IPS, and then I went to dimensions and made sure it was 3 decimal places under primary. Okay, and now we're gonna click OK. And now we should all, hopefully for the most part, be in the same place. Okay, so I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with SolidWorks, so I'm just gonna start from the beginning. So in SolidWorks, you can obviously work in 3D, but to work in 3D, you have to start with a 2D sketch, and then you kind of extrude, you pop out that 3D sketch, that 2D sketch to form a 3D part. So there's a couple different options up here, these tabs, and the two main ones that you're going to be using are features and sketch. Sketch are your 2D sketch tools. So we're going to start using these, and then eventually we're going to work with features, which is going to create our 3D parts. So you may or may not be able to see your planes. In my case, you can't. So if you want to be able to look at the planes, you can always right-click on one, and then there will be this little eye, and it'll say Show. If it's clicked, and it says Hide instead, and this is filled in, and you still can't see it, up here, there's an eye. If you go to the drop down, this is the Hide Show, and this works for a lot of things. So you can see that my View Planes is clicked. If I click it, my plane hides. So this works for planes, for sketches, for axes, for all different kinds of things. So sometimes if something is, is supposed to be visible, but you can't see it, the problem is usually up here. This is a really nice toggle because sometimes I'm like, you know what, I just don't want to see all the planes right now, but I don't feel like clicking on every single one of them. I just click on the main eye here and they're all gone. So this is just a toggle. And it turns all the buttons off and it turns all the buttons on. So this is something kind of nice to keep track of. So to begin our part, let's take a look at it. So there's a couple different ways of approaching this. And people work differently, but I have found that the best way to work is if you think of this as a large block and you are cutting away at the block to create this geometry. A lot of people like to start with one thing and then add another and then add another, but it just makes your tree large. And we're going to talk about our tree too. So I find that the best thing is to do it all as much as possible in one go, or to work off a block and cut away at the block. So let's start. So you can either right-click here on the front plane inside your tree. This is your tree. Or you can come over to your actual work area and right-click on the plane itself. Both work. And I always like to use the normal 2 button before beginning. So you can do it here, or you can do it on the tree. So find the button that says normal 2, which is this little plane with an arrow going up, and click it. And it's going to give you a really nice straight view of the front plane. Is everybody keeping up? I'll take that as a yes. Okay, so now to work on here, we need to enter a sketch. There's 2 ways. I like the best of going to the specific plane that I want to work on and right-clicking on it. But you can also just go to Sketch and select Sketch. If nothing is selected before this, it will ask you to select what plane you want to work on. That's why I like you going to the specific plane that I want to work on and then starting a new sketch. So you're gonna see the little sketch with the star up on the left. So click that, and now we're in sketch mode. So to start this part, I think I'm just gonna draw a general outline. So using our handy dandy shortcuts, we're gonna click L we're gonna select L on our keyboard, and you should be in line mode now. And I'm just gonna draw a very generic kind of shape. So you just kind of click away, and you start creating your sketch, and we can fine tune it after. I'll wait for everybody to kind of finish your shape. Somebody let me know when you're done.
Are you guys
Hold
hearing?
on. Now I can. Hold on, let me shut my door. My dog is barking. Okay. Is everyone doing good?
Were we not supposed to close the shape?
No, I just messed up. I was gonna show you how to fix it.
Okay. I closed mine and then it got a different color and I didn't know if I did something wrong.
No,
Okay,
when it
no,
becomes
that's
a different
good.
color, that's a good thing.
Yes, that's good. Okay, so yeah, for me, it happened that I didn't kind of predict the shape good enough, and I didn't get to close mine. So whenever this happens, you can create another line here, but now you're gonna have like this extra line because it won't merge the two lines. Like this, you don't wanna. So, and I find that just annoying to have two separate lines. So instead, you can use something called relation. And so what I do is I select the dot. So I select one, I hold control, and then I select the other dot. And this option will come up. It's called merge. And you can merge the 2 points so I can connect the shape. So it's just a handy trick. That's just, it happened because I didn't kind of estimate my part correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can also see those options on the left side of your screen too, and it'll give you all of the possible options
Yeah.
For 2 points that you select.
Yeah, we're gonna work further with relations. So we'll work with them more. That was just like because I messed up. Okay, so let's just start with an overall dimension, like the big 10. So using our handy D keyboard shortcut, I'm just gonna select D on my keyboard. And now my mouse changed to dimension mode. So I'm just gonna click on these two lines and then click down, and I'm gonna type in 10. We're in inches already, so it's all good. And the part is gonna kind of resize, which is good. Okay, if you still wanna be in dimension mode, you will be. And you can see how up here, this is still shaded. So we're still in dimension mode. If you, at the time, are done with it, I just click escape. Or you can just re-click the button here, and then it'll get you out of dimension mode. So in my case, I now find this front plane annoying. I know we're already working in it. I don't need it. So I'm just gonna click on the eye and hide it. But it's up to you. If you feel comfortable with it, that's fine. So now we're gonna start using relations. Remember how we talked about how these two are the same size? Well, let's use a relation to set that. So I'm gonna click on the one line, and I'm gonna hold control, and I'm gonna click on the other line. And now the menu pops up here, but like Aaron mentioned, all the options are here as well. So both of these are equal, so I'm gonna select equal. And there's another cool option that I like to use a lot as well. It's called collinear. It basically means that these two lines lie along the same line. So I can click that too, and now they are both set to the same line. So if I move one, it'll move both. So that's something that I like using a lot. It's pretty cool. Now we can do the same thing for this, probably. So let's look at our sketch, at our drawing. The most important thing is that when you have a drawing, you dimension your part the way the drawing is dimensioned. It would be pointless to dimension this middle part when in the drawing we are showing these two dimensions. Because in the future, if somebody wants to come and make a change to the part, they're gonna, let's say that this 2 changes to a 3, they're gonna come in and open your part and expect to change this 2 to a 3, but there's not gonna be a dimension here. Instead, there's gonna be a dimension here. So it's called design intent. So if you know that something is going to be dimensioned a certain way in the drawing, it's important that you also dimension it that way in your part, so that you can easily make changes without having to change extra stuff. There's a lot of times where like engineers haven't done this, and at work, I have to come back and make a change to something, but everything is dimensioned completely wrong from what the drawing is dimensioned like. So I have to come in and clean up all the dimensions so they are like the drawing. It's just very time consuming. So it's something just that's really nice to do. Okay, so I'm gonna use my D again and dimension these to 2. And there's no need to dimension this one now because we already set them equal. And if I click on it, you can see how these little squares come up. So this means that the line is horizontal, and you can see that this is equal. And it shades the other line pink when I hover over it. So it's telling me that these two are equal, and that these two are also collinear. Okay, so moving on, let's take a look at the drawing. So this top part is dimensioned as 6. So let's do that. My D button and then 6. So you can see that this part can kind of move all along. So there's 2 ways we can fix this, and I'm going to teach you a new way. So one way would be to make this part, this line, and this line equal. That would set this in the center. I'm going to teach you another relation that I really like using. If you hover over the center here, you'll find the midpoint. Make sure it turns orange when you click on it. If you click on it when it's yellow, it's going to select both the line and the point, or just a line. So make sure it turns orange, then you click on it, and now we have selected the midpoint. And this little square that comes up, that means it's the midpoint. So we're going to click that, and then we're going to hold Control. And this point over here with the red arrows, that's the center for in our entire space. That's the axis. It's the origin. So that will be there in the same location for the rest of your part, no matter where you're working at it. This is just the main origin of our 3-dimensional area. So once you have selected both, you can see how much you selected here. So let's say by accident you also selected the line. So now you can see here that I have line, point 1, and the origin. I don't want the line, so I'm going to click on it and press delete. And now you can see that they are both correctly selected. In my case, the relations didn't show up again. Sometimes they do. I don't know, SolidWorks likes to do its own thing. So I'm going to do it again. Hold Control, click on the other one, and I'm going to use the vertical relation. I want both of these points to be exactly vertical from each other. And now you can see that the part kind of settled. I still haven't decided where the bottom section is, and you can kind of see that. When you see a black line, that means it's defined. You can't change its shape because it's defined by either a relation or a dimension. The blue lines means they can still change. So let's use the relation, the collinear relation on these two. And now you can see that they both come up and down at the same time. And the last one, I'm gonna use, I'm gonna set this center part, the center point of this, the midpoint, coincident with the origin. So coincident means they are like touching, they are on the same plane, on the same line, on the same point. So I'm gonna click on that, and now they are both coincident, they are together. Looks like we're missing one more dimension. It's the up down. So let's see what dimension did I set. 4 here and 6 overall. So dimension, and I have 4. And since these are collinear, it automatically did both. And the last one is the overall, from the top to the bottom, and that's a 6. And I seem to be missing one. Oh, here. This where the location of this center part to the bottom of the part. So this. So I'm gonna do dimension, this line to this line, and it's a 2. And I totally typed something else. There you go. Okay, hopefully everybody is at this point and I haven't lost anyone. I know I work kind of fast sometimes. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
And then also pay attention to how she's, where she's putting her dimension labels. You want it to make it as easy as possible to read if you go back and look at it again. And so like as the lengths get longer, you want to have those be on the outside.
Yes, standard practice, not to have dimensions inside of your part, to have them outside. And in this case, I made them look kind of like exactly like the drawing. Just because if somebody comes to change the part, that's what they're gonna be looking for. If you ever wanna change a dimension, you can just click on it and this pop-up will come up and you can always change it to whatever you want. You can also change it if you click on the dimension here. This window pops up and you can also change it in here. So everybody's part should be filled in gray. That means it's a closed part. There's no open gaps. And it should be black. So like I said, black means that the sketch is defined. You can also see that down here on the bottom right, it should say fully defined. And that's good. You always want your sketches to be fully defined. Sometimes you think that your sketch is fully defined, but it says it's not, even though it's black. That's because you haven't defined it in space. So it could be, set to the correct sizes, but you could grab it and move it anywhere in space. So that's why I use the origin point. You always want to use your origin point to define where it sits in space as well. You don't want to lose your part. Okay.
How do you get the, just real quick, how did you get the 10 measurement? I can't seem to get it to choose something that's not degrees.
Oh, well, that must mean because one of your lines is not horizontal. So click on your lines and make sure that the little box that says horizontal comes up. So check all of them, and one of them is bound to not be.
What's the little icon that says horizontal? Is it just
So if you see my screen, there's a little box.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
And you can always click horizontal here. When you click on a line, the relations page will pop up on the left, and you can click horizontal on it.
Okay.
It might mess things up. Let me know if you have any trouble. I'll wait for you to figure it out. How's it going, Dan?
Oh, I can't find which one.
Yeah, do you want to share your screen and I can help you out?
Give me 1 second. I think you can move on without me. I'm having a really hard time with the mouse movements. I've had to reset the front plane so many times because I keep trying to drag it.
Reset the front plane?
Yeah, like reset it normal to the front plane. Because I keep like.
Oh, yeah, you're clicking the middle button.
Yeah, I keep rotating.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, I guess I could screen share. I got it back to normal. But I think you have to make me host.
Okay, let me see how I can do that because I have no idea.
You just hover over my name on.
Oh, I see. Okay, you should be the host now.
All right. Well, it's a little
Okay, it's a little wonky. That's okay. Okay, so let's see.
It's horizontal here, right? And I don't understand why. It's obviously not.
Click on the box. On the actual little box. Huh, delete it.
The whole line, or
Right, just
No,
right click
just
on the
click on the box and click delete. Interesting. Yeah, that's okay. So what happened is that your sketch is now like all it doesn't know what's going on. That's why it turns yellow. So I see that on the other side, the other line is also horizontal. So you set the line as both horizontal and vertical at the same time. So that's why it's having a hard time understanding what you want to do. So click on the horizontal little box again and just press delete. You can do it on the right by right clicking. Oh, you click, okay, Control Z. You deleted the whole line. Click on the little box. Make sure that, yeah, there you go. You can also just press delete on your keyboard. That works too. There you go. And now up top, those two vertical lines are also set to vertical and horizontal. So you want to delete the horizontal.
and then over here too.
Oh, and at the bottom too.
How
Yep.
did I do that?
I don't know, but it's okay.
Okay. So
Okay. Now it kind of understands itself a little bit better. Okay. So you should be able to dimension it from now.
So it was these two, right?
So those two are 10.
I'm
Oh
still
yeah, okay, yeah, I see the problem. So escape out of that again. Yep, and then that line is not set to vertical. That line is not vertical, so click on it. Oh no, you need escape out of the dimension thing. Yep, set it to vertical. There you go, now you should be able to.
All right, there we go. All right.
Okay.
Better looking. All right, I'll throw it back to you. I can fix the rest, I think.
Okay, I don't know if I need you to make me host again.
Yeah, I do.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, I just now made you host again.
Okay. Okay, yes. Okay, so now that we are back, if you set your shortcuts correctly, we should be able to extrude this using our shortcuts. So I'm going to click Shift E. And this should come up. Yours might be a little bit more yellow, might be a little bit less yellow. Mine just automatically comes up to 0.1 inches. So if we look at our drawing, it tells us that it is 4 inches thick. So I'm going to change this to 4, press enter, and that looks pretty nice. So this arrow reverses the direction. So sometimes you want it to go one way, sometimes you want it to come out of the other side of the plane. This is all coming out of the plane. So you can see that. So whatever you find most convenient. So if we're happy with this, I'm gonna just click the OK check mark. And here we are. Now, let's say, oh, I accidentally messed something up in the sketch. Now, how do I go back? Here is our boss extrude. That's our part right now. If you click on the little arrow on your tree here, it comes up with the sketch. So you can right click the sketch and click edit sketch. So you can see that you could change the sketch still. Once you're done, you either click exit sketch here or exit sketch here. Or if you're like, you know what, no, those changes were not what I intended. I don't like it. You can always X out of it. And it's gonna say, are you sure you want to discard the changes you made? Yeah, sure. Okay. So now I have this really wonky view. I don't like it. So I'm gonna use my handy dandy Control D shortcut to make a nice view. You can also do that here. This drop down changes the view. So here we have our front view, our top view, all different kinds of views, and our normal too. And over here are the 3D nice views that I like. So if I just click dimetric, it automatically sizes it nicely on the screen and gives it a nice view. Okay, so the next thing is the holes. We have to make the holes. So, oh, before that, just notice how I made this whole part in one go. I only did one sketch and I did one extrude. Another way you could have done it would be making a whole block and doing either 3 different cuts or one whole cut by making different whole like sketches of squares on it. So what that does is it makes your tree longer. So I would have a boss extrude and then either 1 to 3 cut extrudes. So my tree would be longer. Now, something that is not, necessarily that you don't have to do it, but it's just good practice, it's good form, is to keep your tree small. This is your tree. You have to keep it small. And this, you will thank yourself later in the future, because if this is a part that has a lot of different features on it, it makes it heavy. It makes the part bigger, which in turn makes it harder for SolidWorks to process. Now think if you have 20 parts with large trees and you put them all in an assembly, SolidWorks is going to freak out. It's going to be really slow. It's going to be buggy. So good practice is to keep your tree small. Okay, so back to the nice view, and now we have to make the dowel holes on top. And I know what all of you are gonna do. You're all gonna go straight into making a sketch and making circles, and no, just don't. Stop it, okay? Just stop yourself right now. Don't use that feature. Only use the hole feature for like square holes. Did anybody hear that? I don't know if I lagged out.
I could hear it.
Okay, so if it's a hole that is, an actual hole size, like a screw, a dowel pin, an actual fractional size, or a metric screw, something like that, do not use your extruded cut feature. You use the hole wizard, which in my case is my W shortcut. So before I click it, I'm gonna click on the plane that I want to work on. In this case, I'm not gonna work on any of these planes because they are not on the surface that I want. You can also work off a face. So I'm gonna click on this face, and that's gonna be the plane that I'm gonna work on. So I'm gonna click on this, right click and press normal 2. Now we should have a nice view, and I'm gonna click W. And now hole wizard is gonna come up. And that's my stuff up over here on the left. So there's different types of holes depending on the screw. Sometimes you don't care if the head of the screw is sticking out of your part. Sometimes that's okay. Then you would want to use this one, which is this little dotted lines, or it's called straight tap. It means that the hole is tapped. It has that spiral that holds the screw. Up here we have counter bore and countersink. Those are so that the head of the screw fits inside your part. Now there's different types of heads of screw. There's the like squarish ones, I'll call them, the round ones. And then there's the more, I don't know, conical ones. So that's what these shapes are for. These are probably, you know, the biggest ones you're going to use. Sometimes you might use the legacy hole, which is a hole where you define what size it is, but most of the time you'll just use a preset. In our case, we're not going to use the tapped hole. We're going to use just a straight hole. Ours is not going to be tapped because dowel pins are not tapped. They're just straight rods of metal. So I'm going to click on that hole, and then we're going to set our size. Oh, and did I forget to set the size? I totally forgot to set the size. It's fine. I'm just going to come up with something. So let's just use, so make sure you're in inch. You might be in metric. And here you have all drill sizes. In our case, we're going to use dowel pin holes. So we're going to go to dowel holes, and it's going to automatically give me all the different dowel hole sizes that are in the standard inch manual. So I think I'm just going to do, I don't know, maybe 3/8. Let's do 3/8 and see what happens. It might be too small, but that's okay. So end condition is how deep down our hole goes. So how far down are we going to go here? In the case of this drawing, I just went all the way through, so we can leave it through all. There's another option called up to next. If you have, you know, if this is an empty space, but then you have more solid parts here, you don't want to use the through all because it's just going to go through those two. So I would click up to next, or click blind and set the actual depth that I want. In our case, it's okay to use through all, so we can just leave it. For future reference, the countersinks, these are the nice rounded edges at the ends of the holes that make inserting your pin nicely. You can also set the size for these if you need to. They will automatically just come up to what the standard is, but sometimes you need to change those. In our case, we don't need to. So now that I have set what size hole I want, come back up here, and I'm going to click on positions. And it already knows that I'm going to use this face. So now we just click away. So we click 1, 2, 3, and it automatically still wants to do another hole. When you're done selecting holes, you just press escape. So these are kind of small. I kind of don't like them. I think I picked something bigger for this one. So let's go up a size. So by doing that, I'm just going to go back to type and change this size. Maybe like 5/8. Yeah, that's a little bit nicer. You can just leave whatever size. Okay, so as you see, as soon as I click back up positions, I have the pencil again. So I don't want to add another hole again, so I'm just going to click escape. Now we need to actually dimension these holes. Let me put a nice view. Okay. To set where these are, first thing, you can see that they're all along the same line, which is at 2 above our 0 point. So let's do that. I'm gonna select all of them. So I'm gonna grab one, hold control, select the next and the next. And now I have my relations. So I'm gonna say that they should all be horizontal to each other. And now they are. So now that they are, you can move these, you know, up and down along the part, but so we need to dimension where exactly they are. So our 0 was not here at the end of this part. Our 0, I think, was, or was it? Yeah, actually our 0 is here, not at the end of the part over here. So we have to dimension it that way. And then our other 0 is at the bottom edge here. So make sure that we dimension it correctly. So I'm gonna click the bottom edge. Well, first I'm gonna click, do my smart dimension by clicking D, and then dimension this to the first point and set it to 3. And now they should all have moved to the correct place. Next, we have an ordinate dimension. So you can actually do ordinates in a SolidWorks part. It's not common to do it within a 3D part, but I have seen people do it. If you feel comfortable doing that, you can go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we're gonna have to create 3 of these different dimensions going back to the 0. In our case, I'll show you guys how to do the ordinates so you are familiar with them. It's the same thing when you're doing a drawing. So here in Smart Dimension, we're gonna click on the drop down and do ordinate dimension. Sometimes there's horizontal, sometimes there's vertical. I just like clicking the regular one because it doesn't limit you to which one to use. So our 0 is this line, so this is the first thing we're gonna click. And then you click again to set the 0. And now we're gonna click on the first one, then the second one, and the third one. So you can see how all of those now show up. So now I can escape out of it. If you ever wanna add something to an ordinate and you're like, oh wow, I already X'd out of it, hover over one of the dimensions, not on the number, on the line, right click, and select add to ordinate. And it'll put you back in that ordinate mode and you can add another number. In our case, we don't need this, but it was just an example. Okay, so now we have 1, 3, and 5. So now we can just click on these and change them to 1. I have to click on mine twice for some reason, but it's fine. 3 and 5. Okay.
Your height dimension on the left should be 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm like, those look way too high. Okay.
Because
Thank
you
you.
have 3 times 2.
Yeah.
3 by 2.
Thank you. Okay. So if everybody's on the same page, we are ready to get these holes. So I'm just gonna click on the check mark either here or here. And now they're there. So I'm gonna make my nice view and you can see my holes now. And if you kind of hover over it, you can see how far they go to. If you ever need to make changes, like the size of the hole or something like that, or the location, right click on the hole wizard and you're going to edit the feature. So once you're in that mode, you can change the location, you can change the size of the hole, or you can change the location. Just beware of that pencil. Once you click on positions, it's gonna wanna set another hole. So make sure you click escape first. And yeah, once you're happy, you press the check mark again. If you're not happy, you can press the X and it won't save the changes you were almost about to make. And yeah, you can see it says 5/8, and then the size of the hole. So it's nice. Now, you can see in my drawing here, where is it? How I have all this information already filled out. Now, for this next part, you guys are just gonna have to watch because you don't have this sheet format. This is just something I have. And in your case, like your company would provide for you. I think you guys have a sheet that comes with the SolidWorks download, but it's not this one. And I don't know if the properties work with it. So I'm just gonna show you from here on. Okay, I'm clicking on the chat, but I can't see it. If anybody has a question, just unmute yourselves because it doesn't want to pop up the chat for some reason. So yeah, let's fill in these properties. So in my case, you come over here and it says custom properties. Now, all of you have this, but you guys are just not gonna have the properties template. I do. So I'm just gonna show you kind of how it works. I click on it and then of course SolidWorks wants to crash, so we'll just wait for it. You can see the little icon here. Don't pressure it or it will crash. And if you do pressure it, this window will come up. Just tell it to wait to finish. Okay, now that we're here, I have my template already set up. So part number, I don't know, I don't have one. A100. Oh, for also, it's good practice to also always use capitals. So I'm gonna call it Dowel Block. Product family, we're all in EDT. I drew it. I'll date it. Whatnot.
You can't see your drawing window. It's just the SolidWorks.
Oh, really? I don't know how to fix that. I'm
When
sharing my whole
like
screen.
oh, it's not just the
No,
program?
I'm sharing the whole screen. Oh wow, the Zoom chat finally showed up. Okay. I don't know how to, I mean, I could share it again. Can you see it now or no?
No.
Wow. What if I take a sketch of it? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is really crappy, but
Oh, never mind.
you know.
My camera stuff is covering that up. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, okay.
I thought I was going crazy.
Someone should have said something.
I can see it, but I don't know.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay, Aaron.
Continue.
Okay, so here are my properties. I'm just filling them out. This is something you want to do if you have it available to you, just because when you have a drawing, it will update automatically with all this information. So I'm just going to click apply. You guys don't have this, like I said. This is just something that I have. I have my Flexco properties. So it's very likely that you don't have your own template. So just watch. Lastly, I want to set a material for this. You always want to set a material for your part, because if you ever want to see the weight of something, or once it's in an assembly, it's really hard to have to go back to every part and add a material. So right here on material, you can right click, and I already have a bunch of set favorites. Now these were also already provided to me by Flexco, but a lot of them already come with SolidWorks. In this case, I'm just gonna click 1060 alloy, and you can see it kind of even changed color. On my properties, it should have also updated. Yep, material 1060 alloy.
That's aluminum.
That is aluminum. Okay, so now I'm just gonna create a drawing out of this part. And you guys don't have to do this. You can just watch from here. Again, I have my Flexco templates, but you guys, I know, have some form of template. It's just not gonna be the same. When you do this, automatically this window pops up. You can click out, but you can always come back to it. That's this little drawing palette. So I'm gonna stick this part in. And now it wants me to kind of set some views. So I'm just kind of gonna do this. And there you go. So now once I'm done, I'll just click the check mark. And here we are. Okay, so in this case, you can see how all the information already filled out, because I had already put it in the custom properties. So that's nice. The material is also already filled out here. So you can see that these are dowel holes. In some case, they might not show up, and for some reason, they don't have them here like in a nice place to find. If you ever want to add a dowel hole symbol, you can come up to Insert, Annotations, dowel pin symbol. And then you select which ones you want. So just gonna teach you some basics. I don't want everybody to make a drawing today. It's too time consuming. You can resize these by changing the scale here. In this case, it uses the parent scale, but you can always set it to a different scale. Just like I said, make sure that if you're gonna do that, you make a note down here of what scale you're using. Also, mine comes up with these like center points. It's annoying, so I just click my eye to make them go away. Okay, so last thing I wanted to show you, in this also dimension is in the same place. If you want to use ordinates, you use the down arrow and you select ordinates. It's the same thing. So, right, if you use Hole Wizard, this is why you want to use Hole Wizard. It's really nice because it will just automatically dimension your holes for you. So we use the hole callout, that's what it's called, to dimension it. I'm gonna click it and then click on this. And you can see it's already 3 times and it's got the type of dowel, the size set. And you can actually also set like what kind of fit you want. In this case, I didn't set a fit, but you can say, you know, some kind of, I didn't specify in the whole wizard, but you can, a press fit, a slip fit. There's different kinds of fits and different things. So if you want, you know, if you want the pin that's gonna go in here to be hammered in so it doesn't come back out, you have to specify that this is a press fit pin. If you have a part that also has dowel pins already on it that are press fit into that part and it's going to be inserted into these holes, you have to specify that this is a slip fit hole so that the part can easily come in and out. So there's different, you know, fits for different things. And you can always Google those if you're not sure what they are. So it's important to specify. So you can also come down here. I'm just clicking on the dimension. And let's say I come all the way to the text here, and I come to the end, and I'm gonna click enter, and it's gonna freak out, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care. And I'm gonna type PF. That means press fit. So now I have specified that I want all these 3 holes to be this size through all press fit. And the note that I'm also using 2 decimal places. So these can be plus or minus 15 thousandths of what they currently are set to. If I'm like, you know what, no, this hole size is really important, I don't want it to be such a loose tolerance, you can click on it, and then here on diameter, instead of the fit, I set my own tolerance to it. I can say plus or minus 5 thousandths instead of 15, because 15 would just be way too much for this hole. It would be way too big or way too small. So that's something just for your reference, just because I know they don't teach you guys this stuff. So yeah, does anybody have any questions or want me to show them how to do something? Speak now or speak later. You guys can also always like message me. I'm on Slack, I'm on Discord. Or you can email me anything and I can always help you out.
I'm not sure you went over how to like pan and rotate and everything with your mouse and keyboard.
I didn't, did I? Okay, well, in a drawing and in a part, both the zoom is just your scroll wheel. So in a drawing, you will likely not use this, but if you click the wheel, you can move the drawing. I don't know why anybody would ever want to do that, but you can. In a part, if it wants to open it, same thing here. And if you click your wheel, that is to move kind of 3D wise. I don't know what this is called.
Rotate.
Rotate, there you go. I always like to kind of have like a nice, you know, you could be really far away and just not, or be really zoomed in and just kind of not have a nice view. This button is really nice. I really like it. It's called Zoom to Fit, and it just kind of sets the part in a nice size on your screen. No matter what view you're on, you know, you could be like this, and then it'll just set it nicely on the same view that you're currently at. I also use my Control D a lot of just going back to the one place and then working from there. Because sometimes it can be a lot for your eyes. The geometries get funky and you're not sure like kind of where you're at in the part. So yeah.
And also to pan, like just to move left, right, up, and down without rotating, you hold Control while pressing down on the cursor wheel.
Oh yeah, I've actually like never used this, but it's there.
For so long. I guess like 15 different things.
Yeah, and you'll notice whenever you're moving your mouse, if you're clicking something or anything, the cursor will change the symbol that it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's telling you what it's doing.
Yeah, you also know like kind of like what you're in, what like mode you're in, and also like things will change color when you click them. So like a line or like a face. So yeah, that's kind of the basics. I also have 2 other complex parts if you guys want to try to make them really quick. I figured we could cast a vote or on what you guys want to make. Let's close out of this. I don't want this. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys the 2 parts. So one is the one we made last year. So I'm gonna guess it's maybe not as popular because some of you might have already made it. It's the strainer. Some of you might remember it. And then the other part is a key. Can we do a poll? Is that like, can I do that?
You can, but it's I had to set mine up beforehand.
Oh, that's way
No,
too
you
much
can
work.
do it inside. If you're the host, it should be on the bottom, like create poll or something.
Okay, let me stop sharing for a second and figure it out. This might just be too much work. You know what? It's too much work. So if anybody has a preference, just type it in the chat or I will pick for you. Or say it out loud.
I agree with the strainer.
Didn't you make the strainer?
No, I don't think I was at that one.
No? It's really, really easy. Show some cool stuff. Okay, so we'll go with the strainer.
As she
Okay.
pulls up the part, try to think about what your first step would be to create this part.
Okay, so strainer. I have no idea what dimensions I said to, but oh yeah, also another thing, if you have 2 screens, this is also a really nice feature. You will have like a thing here. I don't have it because I don't have 2 screens at home, but it's kind of like, it looks like this symbol, but like in one button. And you can kind of open SolidWorks across both screens. And these buttons are pretty nice because then you can set one part to one screen and then another part to the other screen. So that's pretty nice if you're, working off a drawing or, if you're making changes to a part that's in an assembly, things like that. Just something to keep in mind.
I have 2 screens, but they're asymmetrical. They're not the same size, and it does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've been there.
It was not happy.
Yeah, I've been there. When I started working, I had 2 screens and they were 2 different sizes, and I suffered for the longest time until I begged them to get me new screens. But yeah, I feel your pain. It's still possible, it's just not very nice for the eyes. Okay, so let's make this strainer. I think somebody said something in the chat, but it just does not want to show me the chat. So just, if it's important, just say it out loud. Okay, so this is an interesting part. So we're gonna open a new part. And hopefully we're all in inches. If not, you already know how to change it inches. And I'm just gonna right click on the floor on the front plane. I'm not gonna make it visible because honestly it just annoys me. But if you wanna make it visible, you can. And yeah, we're gonna start a sketch. And so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do an arc. So remember I had set my shortcuts to a 3-point arc A. So in my case, it automates to this one. You can do another one, but just check out how I do it. So I start here, and then I'm gonna work outwards, and then I'm gonna kind of set where I want that arc to be. So I kind of want it to be like this. Okay? So you can always change it afterwards. To make it defined, we wanna set some dimensions. So what I'm gonna do is I want this arc to be, I already know what I'm going to do. So just bear with me here. I'm gonna do a center line. So for me, it's Shift L, and I'm gonna set it horizontal here. And Dan, this is a really good trick for you. When you're making a line, you see that it kind of like snaps, and then that little yellow horizontal thing comes up. So that means if you click, your line will be horizontal, and the same thing can be done vertically.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna kind of click it, and it's unimportant what size it is. What I wanna use it for is to make this, I'm gonna click the arc, and then click on the line, hold Control and click both, and I'm gonna make them tangent. And I'll show you why this is important later. But for now, just bear with me. So now let's just set some dimensions. I don't know what I did the last one, so we're just gonna make whatever. So I'm gonna click on both points, and I'm gonna try to work vertically here. And let's just say, I don't know, 2. And now let's set this dimension. Okay, it seems to like the number 9, so we'll just do like 10. Okay, everybody's sketches should be defined, except for this center line, which we don't really care too much about. Now, what I want to do is, how do I do this? Let's offset this entity. So this is a cool feature. So we're gonna click on the line, and then we're gonna click offset entities. And you can see that it already wants to make it this yellow line here. Let's work outwards and do that. And let's leave it at 0.1 inches. Mine likes 1 inches, but I'm gonna say cap ends. In my case, I'm gonna click on this and say cap ends. And now you can see that it kind of created this arc. So you can do an arc, or you can just do a straight line. We'll do an arc. Is everybody kind of keeping up? Do you guys see what I'm doing?
I'm good.
Okay, so I'll just leave that and press OK. Now, in my case, I am going to be rotating this to create that round strainer. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this arc because this is a closed feature. And actually it might merge. Let's just see how it works. Okay, I don't remember how I made the last one, so this is just, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, so now to revolve this, let's make another in center line. And this one, there's a cool feature called infinite length. This is if you like have a center line for some purpose, but it just, you don't have a set length. It's just like there for your reference. So you can always kind of have that. And I'm gonna set this to vertical. Okay. Why is it still blue? I don't know. Oh, there you go. Okay. If everybody's here, now we are going to revolve this. Now in features, we have this revolve boss face thing, but I set my shortcut to Shift R. So I'm gonna select Shift R, and it doesn't know what to revolve in my case because I don't have anything selected. So my axis of revolution will be this vertical center line that I made. And then my feature selected contour is this guy. Hopefully it works. It might not like it. Yeah, because it's self-intersecting. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so okay, what we have to do is get rid of this arc at the end here. It doesn't like it because it's just gonna revolve around itself. So if you guys remember, I told you we would use the trim entities that I set my shortcut as T, and we can just cut this arc. Make sure you're set to trim to closest. And hover over the arc, and then we're gonna trim it. To close the sketch, I'm just gonna use a line and connect the dots. And now it shouldn't be self-intersecting.
Did you have to add a line in there, or did you have something?
I did. I added a line. Otherwise, it'll be open. I'm sorry if that was confusing.
Oh no, I just didn't know if you had some fancy.
No. Okay. Hopefully now we should be able to revolve. So I'm going to do Shift R again. Set my axis as the vertical line, and you can kind of see the shape how it came out already. So if we're happy with that, I press the check mark, and here we are. Looks pretty nice, right?
That's pretty cool.
Is everybody at this point?
Yeah, mine just worked.
Okay, Cool. So now to make the holes in the strainer, we need a flat surface. So you cannot, that's what's tricky about SolidWorks. While you can create round surfaces, it's hard, and it's hard working off round surfaces. You can't select a round surface and create things that are gonna go along that round surface. It's just not gonna happen. So what you have to do is select first a flat plane. So we're gonna do this top plane. I'm gonna right click and do normal to, and then right click again and select sketch. So this, I'm just gonna give you guys freedom to make the holes, so but you have to follow these instructions. So what we do is we just make one set of holes going along the vertical. Okay, and keep them along the vertical. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little hole here, and I'm gonna use the slot feature, which is over here up in the sketch, straight slot. And to use that, you click once, I go vertical, I click twice, and then I go outwards. And then I'm gonna do another hole, another circle. Make sure that they're all straight to straight vertical to each other. And then you might want to set some size and some dimension to keep them straight and to keep them nicely sized. I'll give everyone like 1 more minute, just because we're kind of running out of time. I don't want to cut into everybody's time. Okay, are we ready? Let's wrap it up. Okay, so let's work off what you have. Let's just please try to keep them straight. It's okay if they're not perfectly dimensioned, just as long as they're all along the vertical here. So everybody should have something that sort of looks like mine. Now, what we want to do is we're going to make a pattern that goes kind of around here. So up in Sketch, where it says Linear Sketch Pattern, I'm going to click on the drop down and say Circular Sketch Pattern. And now it's asking me, what do I want to rotate off of? So the only thing that I see circular here is the edge. So I'm just going to click on the edge. So now that that's set, I have to select what I want to pattern. So here in Entities to Pattern, I'm going to click that, and I'm going to select my circle, my slot, and then my other circle. Things are getting kind of crowded, but oh, it doesn't like it. Okay, sorry, let's delete. Oh, the point? It doesn't like the point. Okay, there you go. Make sure it doesn't say point. Sometimes it might automate the point, and make sure you select the edge that I told you about. Okay, do you kind of see how it like already wants to do it? Yes, but I want more. So on this 4, I'm gonna click the up arrow and increase the, why does it do that? Why are you doing this to me? Stop it. Okay, I don't know why it does that, but there you go. If it does that, if it kind of gets wonky, select the edge up here. Make sure it's clicked and then click delete and then select it again. I don't know why it's being really wonky with me. Okay, I'm just gonna increase it to like, I don't know, like 20 and then delete the edge and then select the edge again. Oh, way too many. Oh my gosh, why are you being so difficult? My circles are way too close. Okay, does anybody have, is anybody having issues?
Okay, cool. I got mine to work.
Okay, anybody else? Everybody's is perfect?
Mine definitely isn't, but that's not terribly surprising.
Oh, you can do better.
Well, some practice, but
Yeah, you can always play with it after this. Okay, so I'm just gonna click the yes, the check mark. And yes, they're all gonna be blue, and this is why I don't like patterns. They're really annoying, and then you have to dimension each individually. In our case, it's just, we're just gonna live with it. Okay, so now that that is set, we're just gonna exit the sketch. And now it's just kind of like floating down there. So there's a really cool thing you can do. If I can find it, let me remember what it is. Under tools, sketch tools, I think. Oh, let me try to remember what it is. Oh gosh. Okay, worst case, we can still do it, but I would have liked to do it another way. Oh, here, under curves, I think. No, it's not. Oh, is it wrap? I think it's wrap. Yep, okay. Let's see if it wants to do it. You around this face. Yes. It might not work, just, oh, it did work. Oh, okay. Okay, I'll show you guys how to do it, sorry. Okay, so select your sketch first. Once it's selected, click on wrap, which is up in, it's in features, not in sketch. So we're gonna click wrap, and then it might not do anything at first. On the wrap method, you wanna choose the spline surfaces, which is a little piece of paper looking thing. Oh, this is not selected. In the little box here, I have, you have to select the face first. So I selected the back of my strainer. Do you kind of see how now the picture is transferring onto my strainer?
So it's like projecting the image
Yes.
instead of just
Now,
doing a straight up cut.
what it would do if you, so check this out. This first one is an emboss. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna kind of like extrude from our sketch to the surface, which we don't want. We don't want another surface of these like holes and slots. So what I want is this one with the middle one, which is the deboss, so it can make a hole. And then how far down do I want the hole to be? I want the hole to go all the way, but you can't select it. So you just kind of have to like move this arrow up. Now, hopefully it works. And it did. Did everybody's work? I hope they did. If it doesn't work, you can also just extrude do an extrude cut on the sketch, even though it's not on the surface, it'll just go through the strainer anyways. But this is just a really cool feature that you can use in the future as well. I don't remember what I used for my first strainer. Yep, I just did a sketch above and I extruded the whole thing down. So there's different ways of doing the same thing. Is everybody happy with theirs? I would like to wrap things up. So does anybody have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for everybody who stuck around. I know it was kind of long, but there's a lot to SolidWorks, and I'm trying to condense it as much as I can into a couple lessons. So if anybody comes up with questions or wants to learn how to do something in specific, feel free to reach out. I can drop my email here. You can also find me on Slack or Discord, and I'm happy to help. So yeah, that's everything I have for today.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for this first lesson, Denise. That is the first of 4 tutorials that we're doing. So on Thursday, we're going to be going more into assemblies. When I was talking with the returning members at the beginning of the semester, they said that assemblies was like the #1 thing that came up in everybody's, what did they want to improve on the most? So assembly is basically when you create a bunch of different parts and then you put them together into one full machine, like you saw when I showed you the Stella assembly of everything put together. So there's a lot of little tricks that you can do, and definitely important to learn.
I'd like to add that, I mean, it's great that we're doing all this learning, and, you know, there's no real way around it. But also, you know, we are a design team, so start thinking about ideas for, I think we've talked about a ball launcher. That sounds like a lot of fun to make. So if you guys have any ideas, you're starting to have the tools to develop those. So keep that in mind.
Yep, and use your shortcuts. It helps. It really speeds things up.
In all of life, not just SolidWorks.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, Denise.
Right. Yeah, we'll see you guys on Thursday at 5.
Alrighty. Aaron, I don't know what to do with the recording now.
Just hit record again, I think.